Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown. I
Peace
don't even
and
know my name.
uh-oh. Peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host, Neil Andersons, and we're going to zigzag across the country, bringing you the headlines that are impacting Black America this morning.
Absolutely, lots going on. I see right away that RNG talked about the two planes taxiing at LaGuardia, and they collided. So far, no one was reportedly hurt in that. And as he said, let me guess, DEI is responsible. Was there a black pilot? Neil?
Right. But that's what happens when you have a shutdown. Many
Yeah,
things
that's
in
what
this
happened.
country are going to become impacted by people are like, no pay, no play.
Nope. And before we get further into the shutdown, let's see what our producer has for us this morning.
With us now, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist Shermichael Singleton and former Democratic South Carolina state rep and CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers. Shermichael, let me start with you. How do you think this ends? Any signs today?
I mean, not in the immediate, but look, I think the American people are ultimately going to blame Democrats. I think there's a bit of an illogical fallacy here from the argument coming from my friends on the left. We were at this place several months ago, John, and when we were, Democrats accused Republicans of not caring about veterans, of not caring about hardworking people, of not caring for children who rely on SNAP benefits for food. And yet here they are, unwilling to compromise, even though you had Senator Thune, you had House Majority Leader Johnson, even the president. All three leaders on the Republican side have signaled that they're willing to negotiate with Democrats as it pertains to health care, as long as we leave the government open. So why wouldn't my Democratic friends want to do that? And even the New York Times, for goodness sakes, wrote a column that came out 2 days ago that said this is actually a clean CR. And yet Democrats are saying it's not. They're playing politics. It's a bit hypocritical. If the government stays shut down, the blame rests with Democrats.
Bakari, I'm betting you have a different view.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I love Shermichael. We went to the same institution, but his argument is just flat out wrong. I mean, it's not the only talking points they have. I think most Americans look at the TV tonight and they're like, wait a minute. Republicans have the White House, they have the Senate, and they have the House of Representatives. They kind of own this. And everybody talks about the first CR, even the New York Times, Shermichael. I've been on TV a few times today, but they don't articulate or point out what happened between then and now. We had this big, beautiful bill. And what people don't point out is after the passage of the big, beautiful bill, what's going to happen? They put insane cuts on people who are receiving Medicaid, which hurt federally funded health care centers. Cuts back on people getting Medicaid. They also eliminated the subsidies that go to individuals on the Affordable Care Act. What that means is that now those prices, those premiums are going to go up. And so the irony in this argument is that Democrats actually have a clear message of what they're fighting for. We're fighting for individuals to maintain their right to health care. Point blank, period. This isn't a procedural argument. This isn't anything else. We're fighting for those same individuals Shermichael laid out. We're fighting for them to have access to quality care. What we're seeing right now, though, is this authoritarian way of trying to overthrow some constitutional order. That was a lot of big words. I sounded like Hakeem Jeffries. I got to stop that. But what we're trying to do right now and what we see right now when individuals are going down this path is you have people like Russ Vought, who we don't even know who that is. None of the three of us voted for Russ Vought ever to do anything. But he is actually going in and cutting billions of dollars of funding just from blue states. Imagine if Barack Obama did that. Imagine if Joe Biden did that. Imagine if we had somebody who's an unelected bureaucrat go in and cut lawfully allocated funds from blue states. That is what authoritarians do. That's what they're doing now. And Democrats are simply fighting for health care. I've been very critical of Akeem and Chuck, but I'm glad that they're showing the fortitude now to at least fight for something for the American people.
Shermichael,
I see we're moving the goalposts.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What
A lot
are
of
you
folks
doing?
on your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my
them.
God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous. You know I serve on Foreign Affairs and Appropriations. It's the collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just
You know, this is what makes times like these a little bit more difficult when you have a Shermichael. It's like the only question, and I'll let you take it over because I'm going to go down a deep dark rabbit hole, as Cardi B says, or somebody says, but the rabbit hole. But the only thing I will ask is that did they give you Vaseline, Shermichael? That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, you have to give the Republican Party credit for being on target with their talking points and how they push the narrative. I've still yet to see the Democratic Party find something that will resonate with the American people. I would like to see the Democratic Party go and have some of these people that are truly impacted by this shutdown. I mean, immediately, people who have lost their jobs or people, TSA employees who are not getting paid that are on the front line, and let them talk about how this shutdown is impacting them. Because to the point, like Bakari said, everybody is critical of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. So to have them as the total face of how the Democrats are responding to the shutdown, I think it's not a good idea. I think that the American people now, if the Democratic Party was smart, they would start having the American people talk about their disgust to how their healthcare is going to be impacted, and talk about how their jobs, how they're on the front line and they're not even getting paid as essential workers.
Yeah, the bottom line, folks, all these different talking points and talkers and people like Shermichael, who has lost his way a long time ago, apparently sold his soul, that the House Negro and all that stuff. The bottom line is, they're finally Jeffries and Schumer and the rest of them are standing up for you. Finally, they're standing up for you. Your health care is going to go up at least 117%, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation's latest study on what the Republicans are doing. And make no mistake about it, people who are in this country undocumented or illegally, or however you want to put it, are not getting affordable health care. They're not getting this health care. The Republicans and the MAGA folks will lie to you and tell you that that's what they're fighting. Zero evidence that anybody who is here undocumented is getting health care on your dime is absolutely false. Just like they sold you on, this is all about immigration, that they sold you on suffer on crime. Look what's going on. They've sent in the military. He had all those military generals come before him and embarrassed the heck out of himself. And they were embarrassed to be there. Some of them was literally putting their heads in their hands. This, folks, is simply a dictatorship attempt. This is a coup attempt on the U.S., not just the government, but every citizen, no matter what walk, no matter what party you're in, no matter what walk of life you're in. If you are a U.S. citizen, this is a direct assault and attack on you.
Right. The only problem is that is it resonating with the American people, especially the constituents of the Democratic Party. And I still don't think that the impact is being felt enough. Versus, like I'm saying, I wanted to hold my thought, but even Fox News. I mean, I read all the headlines because you keep your friends close and you keep your enemies close. But Fox News is even talking about how this is all about giving Donald Trump the opportunity to cut jobs and downsize things. So this isn't even about, so to say, it's about healthcare for the American people. But the reality is Donald Trump has a more sinister reason for having a shutdown. It gives him the opportunity to cut more jobs in this country.
And as we talked about a little bit yesterday, the ProPublica report, all this so-called cutting the fat. I'm cutting the fat. First of all, go to the gym, dude. But secondly, secondly, as ProPublica reported, all these so-called billions upon billions of dollars. Where is it? Where is it? There's no paper trail, folks. There's no paper trail whatsoever. Just like somebody mentioned, one of our commenters mentioned yesterday, where are those folks that were sent to Alcatraz? No paper trail there either.
And see, these are conversations and narratives that the Democratic Party can use. They could go down there and use her as a voice to amplify that story. I mean, there's so many things that are happening to us at such a rapid speed. But like to Patricia Jackson in the chat says, I think people are checked out. It's overwhelming. And unless you are very specific about how you want to approach it, like the Republican Party is, the Democrats are going to continue to get beat on. I mean, we have a very sophisticated and intelligent group of people that watch Let It Be Known in the morning, Stacey. And, you know, we are inside the bubble, but the majority of the American people are not. And those are the people that we have to learn and begin to understand. How do we penetrate? How do we impact? And how do we have our message resonate with them? And that's just not happening. And that's the tragedy in all of this. We're screaming fire. And everybody else is like, what did Cardi B and Nicki Minaj say?
Although that is kind of entertaining.
it is nice, mindless behavior. I will give you that because I'm reading all the tweets.
You read all the tweets. But yeah, this is all on them. This is all part of their playbook. This is all certainly part of Russell Balt's playbook, part of Heritage Foundation's playbook, and certainly Trump is carrying it out to the nth degree. This is about making America white again, making America a dictatorship, as racist as possible. Folks, they are taking away the most basic. We talked a little bit about this yesterday as well. The USAID thing. Kids are dying every day simply because the Donald Trump administration decided to cut off USAID, that program that was saving lives. And it's not just a U.S. They allowed it to be called USAID out of deference to the United States, because the United States once stood for something that supposedly was positive. But all these other nations were also contributing to that. And this president decided that money could be best used out of his his billionaires accounts. That his billionaire friends could best use that money,
right?
To enhance their wealth. So that's where we at. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And yes, U.S. kids are dying. Whoever this in the whatever expat, yeah.
So if you're an expat, where are you at? Because expats usually live in a different country. Where are you at? expat.
Yeah. And to say that the U.S. should not take care of those in the U.S. first. Yeah, we are saying they should take care of those in the U.S. as well. But the fact of the matter is, the U.S. has made money off of the backs of so many other countries and individuals. Yeah, they should. They certainly should be helping these poor kids who are dying because you won't give them a loaf of bread when you are, putting $250 million into a White House add-on. I mean, come on.
And check this out. He said yesterday, the ballroom building is not going to stop. That government shutdown or not, they're going to keep building that. What is he building? A dining hall? Because he might call it a ballroom, but the way that he did the Rose Garden, and it looks like a piece of slab with those yellow umbrellas, it's probably going to look more like a child house. Okay, not a ballroom. But to your point, look at what's happening, and we have to double down on that. Taking away from the poor so you can feed your rerouting that money to your billionaire friends. It has nothing to do with the American people, the sustainability of maintaining America. It has to do with being grotesque and gouging and stealing wealth from our democracy.
Yeah, it is the most depraved of hearts that will allow seniors and kids to lose their housing, lose their health care, starve. It is the most depraved of hearts.
And look you straight in your eye.
Hmm.
Okay? I mean, go straight to the camera. Mike Johnson, all of them. Straight in the camera. Look you dead in the eye.
Hmm.
And tell you we about to take all your shit. And y'all deal with it.
Yeah, and RNG says, is ICE being paid? They are federal employees. I bet they're being paid.
Right? Hmm.
They're being paid to terrorize folks,
And 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 the,
kidnap folks.
and the way that he says, "Oh, I think that I'm going to just go after Democratic cities. I'm going to pull their money." I mean, to hear that and for people to just still, turn up the music, I think, maybe this is a lesson that the American people are going to have to learn. Because if you're not sick and tired of being sick and tired of what is happening to our country, then maybe we all have to suffer until you get it.
Yeah, and this is again, we talked about Sher Michael earlier. Her Michael, I don't know what his name is anymore. I don't care. But when you got people like that, the Byron Donalds of the world, it's so nice. You brought this out yesterday. How our girl Jasmine read him up, down, sideways, and then put him in his crib and put a bottle in his mouth and a pacifier on his side. I mean, she wrecked his whole world with what she said, and she was 100% right. But you have these folks like that who are just, they are so despicable. The Clarence Thomases of the world. It really highlights, it brings to the fore how despicable they really are.
PH Expat said, but I left the US a decade ago to live on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Good for
Good for
you.
you.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that because we are trying to figure out how to be global citizens. I think as African Americans in this country, we need to rethink our journey, right? Because like we're the only people who really don't have a native tongue, like a native speech, right? Everybody, Latinos, Asians, everybody knows, who they are, where they come from, and our culture as African Americans was built in under white supremacy. And so we have to reprogram our minds because we have been institutionalized to like really just understand white supremacy and live within the confines of it and still find our joy. But I think this is a really good opportunity for African Americans to really, think differently, right? Think like the world is bigger than the United States of America. There's other places out there that we can be. And so I'm hoping that, we'll see some more expats happening out of
Well,
this country.
Expac knows that he is white, and his wife
Oh,
of
he's
over 20,
oh,
20 years is Filipina. But he said, and I assume, Expat, you're talking about black folks. He said so many brothers over here. Maybe it's your
when
military brothers. I don't know.
right. But
Maybe whatever.
yeah, but I do have friends that are expats. One of them we've had on the show, and she's in South Africa. She did it in 2019, and you couldn't beg her to come back to the United States. So
Yeah.
there are black people. I mean, I follow people on TikTok that have moved to Japan. Some people have moved to the Caribbean, and they are African Americans. So people are doing it. I just wish that we could see more of those stories to not be afraid to think outside of what we know.
Yeah, I met a guy when I was in France last year who was a DJ, and he said he had moved from New York to Paris 30 years ago. He had went there and he found him a wife. He wasn't expecting it, but he said after that he wasn't coming back. And he's based on his account, he's been happy ever since.
Right.
So
I think Shonda H brings up an important point. 44 million Black Americans aren't going to be able to flee America. Most Black folks don't even have a passport. And that's what I'm saying too, in part, we have to retrain our minds.
mhm.
If we can go out and spend $300, $500 on a Beyonce concert ticket or a Kendrick Lamar concert ticket, we surely can afford to get a passport for under $100. And that's what I mean about the retraining of our minds and just thinking about things differently. There's a big world out there, and this white supremacist country is going backwards instead of forwards, and so we need to keep thinking how to move forward.
Yeah, he says yeah, it is hard to, and believe me, I don't mean any offense. I'm taking an assumption that you are a man. I know we had the wrong assumption that you were black, but expat says it is hard to leave, not just the money, the commitment to just leave. And that's true too. You have to be committed to it.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to think different. You know what I'm saying? You have to, it's definitely a mind shift, right? It's definitely something that, because there are people here, I live in Los Angeles, there are people here in Watts. When I used to, work at the radio station and we used to do, community things, I didn't even realize there were some kids in Watts who hadn't even been 5 miles west to just go to the beach. Had never been to the beach. And the beach is less than 5 miles away from Watts.
Yeah, Austin Cooper, we always tease Austin, but Austin does some great work. He works with some kids in the with the Lockridge Foundation in Washington, D.C., and they take kids to Africa. And these are kids who not only have never been on a plane before, but never left Washington, D.C., in the area where they live. So
it's life changing.
It is very much so. Yeah.
From going down the street to the beach to going all the way to the motherland. It is life changing experiences like that help our future generation understand that life is bigger than the situation or community that you live in.
Yeah, and you see what Dr. Marilyn says, and this is a thing with a lot of people. She says that she went to Africa, and although I enjoyed it, she says I couldn't see myself living there. But here's the point, I guess there are certain things that I can't give up, but I love those who do it. Absolutely. You got to be a little bit detached or not too attached to certain things. And things are one thing, but people are another. And for many, it's leaving their loved ones behind, especially in this climate. You just.
I get it. I get it. But
she ain't going nowhere.
Right. At the rate this country is going, I think a lot of more people will begin to think of alternative options, especially if Donald Trump continues to get all these wins. And we'll see what happens in next year with the midterms, and we'll see if he still stays in office. Because I think there's a good opportunity or chance that man is going nowhere.
He also mentions like one of the things that they're talking about was cutting Section 8 and things like that. And expat makes a good point. It's a point that I'm sure some will still argue with, but he says Section 8 should not be a lifetime thing, but it should not be abolished because it helps many. And that's one of the things that the Trump administration wants to get rid of is things like housing vouchers, Section 8, of course, WIC and all of that stuff. And I do. There's many who will agree. Even when we had Dr. Cosby on, he talked about the projects that he lived in when he was going. And he says the idea then was to get in and get out. Once you get yourself together, get out and make way for somebody else.
I get all of that, but let's talk about that. People who work a 9-to-5 job still do not make enough money to live in this country. So for somebody to say that you shouldn't have SNAP all your life, well then you should be able to live in this country to where you can afford groceries. There are a lot of people who are working 9-to-5 40-hour work weeks and they still don't have enough to survive. So I think that it's easy to say, oh, after 10 years you should be able to pick up your bootstraps and go on. But the statistics and the data shows that most people in America don't make enough money and they working every day hard. Some of them are homeless. Okay. So until this country makes a living wage, a true living wage, then you can't say that about SNAP and any other government resources that they provide.
Without question. And you know what? You know who the people are who say, you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps? It's the people who have been handed to.
or taking all the money. They're taking government handouts. You know what I'm saying? Trump is rewriting, tax codes and all types of stuff so that they can continue to get more wealth. Meanwhile, you want to be mad at me because I want food stamps and I go to work every day.
Yeah, yeah. Aquarius says everyone on Section 8 isn't in a housing project you can rent anywhere. Yeah, I think we understand that. The premise though for Section 8 for many is supposed to be, get it. Once you get yourself together, then don't keep getting it. But as Neil just articulated, the way that they have done this country, you could work 20 hours a day and you still will struggle to afford what they've done to this country as far as renting, even buying,
Right.
and we're not even talking about food and water yet, right?
Mhm. The Stephanie Humphrey channel says also, Sister Nielle, when you leaving and where are you going? Well, my dream is to have dual citizenship. Okay, because I've been thinking about it, and it's funny. Me and my friend go back and forth. She was like, she leaving too. So she was like, where are you going? I said, I would either want to live somewhere in Africa, Ghana, South Africa. My friend says Johannesburg is beautiful and I'm watching her life. And I love the Caribbean. I love beaches and pretty water. I love to float. And so, you know what I'm saying? And I want to have dual citizenship. And speaking of that, Spike Lee was on social media this morning because he has dual citizenship. I think it's in Ghana, but he's pushing people to get their passports and have dual citizenship and explore. And I don't think that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying, and let me be clear, I'm not saying that I just want to pick up and I ain't never coming back. But I think that there's an opportunity for us to explore. We were forced over here on ships. Our ancestors were forced, no choice. Now we have a choice. So let's be our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Well, Dr. Jones says WIC allowing for mothers and infants and toddlers to have milk and food. She says her neighbor has pieced together 3 jobs at a time and still needs WIC to provide for her babies. And that's just the cold hard facts. You talk about the working poor, there's more working poor than anything else.
Oh, look, they're tough. See, I love this conversation. Mm-hmm. So, PH Expat says St. Thomas is nice. Michelle Madison says I would move to the Caribbean. See, I'm just saying, imagine, think about it. What did you say? You take one step, God takes 2. Michelle Beth says, I would move to the Caribbean. My mother has dual citizenship. And then PH Expat says, once you leave the U.S., Nielle, you'll see it is actually better and easier, regardless of where, to a point.
And you see what Claudette Perry says,
see?
right?
Let's reimagine.
Yeah, she says Sierra Leone, Nairobi, Kenya, free citizenship to any Americans who want to come, and of course Ghana as well. So there are options, folks.
Let's reimagine. Let's think about it. I'm not saying, I ain't never ever going back. I'm not gonna never see, but we have opportunities now, and we have to think a new way. Instead of just trying to just constantly fight white people in this country. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted.
I mean, mentally, when you look at the news every day, mentally, it is exhausting.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And then we're right in the middle of it, right? Because we're trying to give information, talk about what's going on, and find a way in which we can uplift our folks. But it's tiring.
It is tiring. And let me tell y'all now, as journalists, we got to fact check, because AI is messing up, the truth. You would think AI is helpful too, but
it's not really, just. I'm sorry. It's the lies coming out of the White House. It is the misinformation coming out of the White House. And then you have this whole new technology system that's supposed to be helping you identify the truth. But let me tell you, before AI and working in newsrooms and things, Black news was easy to find. It is being buried. Yeah.
You put Black News Now in the search engine, and you might get a black bear attack somebody in Northern California. The truth is becoming harder and harder to find and to verify.
Well, to your point on that, the most recent Pew Research Center's survey of American newsrooms, only 6% of reporting journalists are Black.
Mm,
6%. That's a scary number right there. And again, we talk
very.
about the black press, the black press, the black press. It's so important, folks, that folks stay engaged with the black press. 6% of journalists, according to Pew, is Black.
And narrative and spin, as we say in news, is very important. And that was the thing that we were excited about, as we were, minorities were beginning to have more voice in mainstream news rooms, because if you're telling stuff constantly from a white perspective, you're leaving out so many details about what the
Hmm.
experience truly is. When you look at CNN and MSNBC now, they're not talking about our stories. I don't even think I saw about the HBCUs, right?
Right.
And the bomb threats. So having people of color in newsrooms, it is highly important and critical to telling the true narrative of an American experience in this country. Now we're going back to where it's just a white experience, and it's coming from a white supremacist POV, because it's not the reporters that are telling the stories. It is people in high dark places. Okay, it is the people that are Donald Trump's friends, that are, as Stacey likes to say, capitulating to him and not wanting to get a lawsuit filed against you. And so the narrative that's coming out of these newsroom now are being more and more skewed towards what Donald Trump and his Trump clan administration wants.
And we saw he just YouTube just agreed to give him what, $24.5 million. Trump, that is, and CBS, NBC, CNN, the Washington Post. Everybody has, yes, capitulated. All the mainstream outlets. So, folks, this is we are not bought and sold.
Right,
So
right. Joni Toole says the algorithms are absolutely designed to boost the white Christian nationalist agenda. And we have what else? What are people saying? PH Expat. We were loving all the commentary from you. I grew up foster homes, then then addict, then criminal, went to prison, white guy. So there was zero privilege, just my bad choices. Got out,
mm,
got an education, met a good woman, and then left. I mean, sometimes, I hate to say it, but white privilege allows you to do that. It's harder for black people to do that.
yeah, yeah, and just look, just yesterday we had a guest on about something that affects the Black community a lot, and that's colon cancer. So we have to continue to give folks what they need, and that is real information, helpful information. I just want to switch gears just for a moment, because I think this is important too, because you always talk about the wins. You gotta savor the wins. Lisa Cook is going to stay on as a Federal Reserve governor, at least for now, after Supreme Court decided against acting on Trump's efforts to immediately remove her from the central bank board. The Supreme Court, however, did say it would hear arguments in January over Trump's efforts to dismiss Cook, who became the first Black woman to sit on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in 2022. He used his usual penchant for unfounded allegations and accused Cook of mortgage fraud, a charge, of course, that has been disproven. Not only does she denied it, but it has been disproven. She has not committed mortgage fraud. So she's staying on the job, at least for now. Supreme Court, at least for now, is holding off to bending the knee.
I guess a win is a win, right? We got to take it where we get it. There's a little glimmer of hope there. That it's bending. And what is the arc of justice is bending just a little bit for us.
Let me tell you something. Patricia Jackson says, and this, I think this is a great point. She says, "I despise the term white privilege. I don't have another term, but I see." She says, I almost feel proud of that, and some almost feel proud of that instead of reflecting." I agree. There's that term and the black card. I hate those two terms. You're right, but I'm with you on that. I should say, Patricia, the white privilege, but also I want to throw in the black card. That term, that black card, came about during the O.J. Simpson trial, and it was used, if you recall, in a very racist way, with Mark Furman. Oh, they're playing the black card. In other words, that whole racism thing, like as if it's something that's not true, something
Like
that's
it's a get
bad.
out of jail free card.
Right, exactly.
Bam.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, and a couple of other phrases too, Patricia Jackson, by the way. So anyway,
But
I had to say that.
for me, I mean, I can understand why you despise it. I despise it too. I'm talking about white privilege because it is a privilege that we don't have. And some people, some white folks don't even realize that they have a privilege. I mean, it's just the standard. You could be the lowest of the lowest, but if you are white, the most educated black person can be standing next to the most uneducated white person. But depending on the circumstance and the situation, there is a certain amount of privilege that they have that we just don't. I despise it too, but I despise it because of that reason.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know somebody who is behind the cameras who will not give to a homeless white person.
That is hilarious.
That kills me, but nonetheless, she's very emphatic about it. Very emphatic that that person is failing to use their privilege. So
Ooh.
so
So.
anyway, it's
Okay.
hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Pumakin says white privilege is just a euphemism for racism. There you go. There you go. Folks, tomorrow is Robert Shapiro, Miss Lavender created that term, the race card. Exactly. Tomorrow is the day for Diddy. Did he do it? Diddy's done. Prosecutors say that they want 11 years. They want him to serve 11 years in prison, and several trial witnesses, including Cassie Ventura, have submitted letters supporting that type of jail time for Diddy. Again, I think it's something to closely watch because, again, the two charges that he was convicted of is really what the judge should be using to sentence him. But Diddy dug this hole, and now let's see how it all turns out. He will address the court tomorrow, Niel. So that's going to be interesting in itself.
For sure. I mean, all eyes are going to be on New York City tomorrow. But at the end of the day, what he was charged with was prostitution. Charged and convicted of is prostitution. And so show me where somebody that was convicted of prostitution gets 11 years. And then if that's the standard, then okay. But if you're telling me that based upon the time he's been in jail, that whatever the sentence is, if it's a year, then it should be time served. Now, if you're telling me that prostitution charges get 11 years and there are tons of men and women in prison for prostitution for 11 plus years, then okay, I get it. But if that is not the standard, then I think that, it'll be a little injustice for Diddy.
Yeah. Dr. Jones says, I read that Cassie's moving out of New York because she is frightened from the fallback of her testimony. I feel bad. I feel bad for any woman who's been abused and who has gone through anything like that. I don't think that Cassie has Diddy to be frightened about. I don't believe that at all. And I don't think she's afraid. And the reason I say that, Dr. Jones, is based on her own testimony. I don't think she's afraid. I
I don't
think
either.
that they want this. She'd like to see him go away. It's
And I don't
that.
even know if it's that. You know what? Based upon her testimony, I'm gonna just
Mhm.
keep it a buck. Based upon her testimony on that stand, I feel like she still has a soft place in her heart for
Right,
Diddy,
she
and I
does.
think that it's her husband who is really, she has to show that she is mad about what happened to her, and it's best for her household.
I'm not saying that I think she's lying what she said on the stand. I'm saying based on what she said on the stand,
Right.
on the oath, I don't think that she's afraid.
And
And
she basically said that, she still has a soft spot, or,
Mhm.
what happened.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, at what
yeah.
point? I mean, $40 million, it's a lot of people out here that get abused that don't get $40 million. Okay. It's a lot of people.
Well,
Let's put it in
well,
context. It's a lot of people. So that's a lot of good therapy you can get. That's a lot of good,
I,
a lot of stuff you could give with 40 million. There's a lot of people walking around here that
I,
never got that. So
so Dr. Joni, one of the things she testified, she said that long after their breakup, he sexually assaulted her when they decided to go out for a so-called closure dinner, and then a couple weeks after that, she consensually had relations with him. So that it kind of tells me, I could be wrong, Dr. Joni, but it signals to me that this is not someone who's afraid.
mhm.
Because if he sexually assaulted her 2 weeks earlier, and then 2 weeks later, he calls her up. First of all, I don't know why you're able to call her up, but he calls her up and says, "Hey, let's hang out," and you say yes, and then y'all proceed to have, in your own words, consensual relations. I just find that to signal that no, I'm not really scared of him.
Mhm.
And again, you have PhD behind your name, Dr. Joni, so you probably have a much better insight on this than I do. But that's how I see it from my layman's eyes. That's all
Right.
I'm saying.
Right. And let's be clear. Nobody is saying that Diddy is, this stand-up, righteous person. Yeah, he's done despicable things. Um, but I don't like how, there's some real women out there. And I'm not saying that Cassie is not one of them, but in her space, she had a certain level of privilege. Okay. That she exercised in that whole situation. It was a very toxic situation. And it was an unhealthy situation that
Mhm.
they all functioned in. You know what I mean? And at times thrived in. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? From red carpets to extravagant trips, and then there are people out here who are actually, to me, more of victims because they don't have the opportunities. Like I say, they don't have opportunities to get 40 million. They don't have the opportunity to be listened to. And a lot of other people, this is a question, and it probably is going to make people be mad. But I think also the color of her skin and the way she looked played into the sympathy role for her more so than if it would have been just a regular looking black woman.
Yeah. So that's a little bit where the $40 million part is the kind of a little bit where you and I just kind of split on Niel, because I agree that a person, I've always said, if somebody victimized you, somebody like that, I think you should do both, get the money and the prosecution. That's how I feel about it. I don't hate that she got the money. He paid her for a reason, but I just think that she expressed something different than what she's now expressing in that letter. And I don't know that that's right. But then someone brings up about the what is that? Some syndrome? What do you call it? Oh gosh, I saw it again. But
Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm.
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I believe that's real. I don't think that's contrived in any way. So again, I just don't know what to think of this situation. But what I will say about this situation, Diddy or not, and I could care less about Sean Diddy Combs. I think he's a horrible, horrible human being. If the judge gave him 11 years, I wouldn't bat an eye. But it's wrong, I think, because the sentencing, what he was convicted of,
Right.
that's what my concern has always been especially for people of color.
Right.
When you go to that court,
Mm-hmm.
that justice, it's so injustice toward people of color. So whether you're Sean Combs or Sean Smith, these charges suggest that you really should get no more than a couple of years.
Right. And really it should be time served. And the reality is, if he does get 11 years, it's not going to be for what he was charged with. It's
Right.
going to be for the despicable things that he did to Cassie and Jane Doe. And that's what he would be sentenced for if he were to get 11 years, which is not justice at all, because that's not what he was convicted of.
That's the concern. Exactly. That is the concern. And I talked about it during the Cosby trial as well, that it's not about guilt or innocence. It's about fairness for everybody. It's for Black folks, really. And for
Nancy Wall says Epstein. Because
Yeah.
I guarantee you, what Diddy did was despicable. Like we say,
Mhm.
nobody is disagreeing about
Absolutely.
that. But I bet you what's in those Epstein files would make Diddy look like a Boy Scout.
Yeah, I just wish they would have charged him. I know it's out of the federal purview, but I wish he would have been charged with domestic violence. Um, 11 years on that, and I don't think anybody would be complaining. Well, it's based on that video we saw. Who would complain?
And Dr. Mellon, she said agreed. He is horrible. Diddy has never held himself accountable. I'm very interested to see what he says tomorrow, because that I think will help answer all of our questions. Does he truly hold himself accountable? Because at what point he could say a million things. People don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it. But tomorrow I want to hear if Diddy has a redemption song.
Yeah, and Stephanie Humphreys, she says emotional and mental abuse is real. Absolutely. And that's what the $40 million is for. That's what a civil jury will always. This didn't go to a civil jury. Diddy agreed to pay her that money without it being a trial. But a civil jury's responsibility, one of their responsibilities, is to extract punitive damages, and that is what you just said. And so she did indeed get the punitive damages that she would have gotten in a jury trial. So that part is done.
And since you said that, let's go all the way back. That was all she wanted in the first place, was money. Remember?
And she didn't want to go through the
She didn't. All she wanted was the money, and Diddy said no. And because he said no, it opened up this Pandora's box.
It did indeed.
But in the beginning, all she wanted was money. She was going to keep all of those stories, keep all of that to herself with the check.
I can't blame her though. Who wants, you talk about urination in somebody's mouth and all this other stuff. I couldn't blame her for not wanting to.
It's his fault.
Right. I couldn't blame her for not wanting to go public with that stuff.
He should have just paid the girl. He should have just paid the girl. So once again, this is all on Diddy. You can't blame Cassie. You know what I'm saying? All she wanted was the money.
And let's be real, Diddy's career is over. He's not going to make any more money. Not anything.
You don't think
of
so?
Substance. Oh, he's done. He's finished. They made sure of that. And I think the judge, and that's the other thing that I'm thinking with this sentence. The sentence I think the judge really wants to make sure of that. I really do. This judge is something else. I think he wants to make sure of that. But I think it's over for him as far as him being able to cash in the way he behind the scenes. Yeah, he'll make a little change. He might even make a lot of money selling the book.
He'll write a book. Right? One of the questions I want to know too is, the friendships. You have like the DJ Khaled's, the Jay-Z's, his hip hop friends. If he does get out, eventually he will. I wonder who will band against him. Mary J. Blige. All of these people who rode with Diddy up until he was arrested, will they come back and be his friend? And here's the question in the chat. could you be, if you were Diddy's friend right before he went to prison, could you be his friend when he comes out?
Well, they certainly, if they want a career, they can't, and it cannot be public. It cannot be public. You see, you listen, you see what they do. Even with Russell. Russell has never been charged, never been charged, never been questioned by police. But when folks go over there to see him, oftentimes they don't want to be on video.
Right. I mean, look at what happened when Taraji P. Henson went over there and Usher went over there. You know, and I mean, and they went over there, they had a good time, they did yoga, but once those pictures broke, baby.
hmm hmm So, folks, anyway, we'll see tomorrow. But again, to Dr. Joni, this is certainly not in any way discounting Cassie's trauma and what you were saying at all. Let's just make sure we understand that. You,
For
like I
sure.
said, you know, you certainly have a insight as a doctor, a PhD. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Listen, I know we are running late, but how about this? A Black female private investigator has landed a Netflix series breaking stereotypes in a male-dominated industry and redefining what it means to be a private investigator. Brianne Joseph, who is the owner of the six-figure detective agency Sly Fox Investigations, is stepping into the global spotlight with her role in Netflix's successful new series called Love Con Revenge. It just launched this past week, and well, 2 weeks ago actually, and has maintained a number 2 or number 3 status for the top TV shows nationally each of its first couple of weeks. So how about that? This Black woman has private investigator has landed this show on Netflix.
It's pretty cool, you know, it's pretty dope. PH expat. I'm not a doctorate. He was talking about I don't have a doctorate degree. He's talking about Dr. Joni Toole. She has a doctorate degree. So Dr. Joni, you want to drop in the chat what your PhD is in?
Yeah. Neil's PhD is in something else.
Hoodnomics.
There you go.
Hoodnomics. Yeah. So be sure to check out that Netflix show. Support Black content and Black content creators. Just a couple more headlines.
Wait. X-Pac, who are we talking about? Who's a good looking woman too? Who are you talking about? I think he might be. Is he talking about Neil?
No, he's talking about the one
Private Eye?
the Private Eye.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So the White House dismissed the majority of members of the National Council to Humanities. Are we surprised about that? So yesterday, just 4 of the 26 members remained on the council's website. And the 4 who were still remaining were appointed by Donald Trump. Now, the council advises the chair of the National Endowment for Humanities. And according to the website, the agency awards grants and over $6 billion grants to museums, historic sites, educational and research institutions, and libraries, public television, radio stations, individual scholars, and affiliates across the country. So basically, PBS, the Smithsonian Museums, all of this falls under this council, and he just got rid of all of them except his 4 appointees. So you understand, you know, we talk about what's happening to the Smithsonian. This is another chess move to really take away the resources that they're providing.
Yeah, it's to be expected. This is just
Right.
you know, cruelty and want to erase our history.
Right. And just so you know, the Smithsonian put out a post yesterday saying that due to the government shutdown, they will remain open the rest of this week because of funds that they have from last year, but they don't know if they will be open as of Monday. So the impact is trickling down. Moving over to ICE. And the Super Bowl. ICE will attend the 2026 Super Bowl, where Puerto Rican singer Bad Bunny is set to headline the halftime show. Now, according to Corey Lewinsky, an advisor to the Department of Homeland Security, he says there is nowhere that you can provide a safe haven to people in this country illegally. not the Super Bowl, and nowhere else. So now ICE is going to be at the Super Bowl.
Just shaking my head. This is ridiculous. Good, but
What
you
I
know,
love. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's these mass kidnappers are going to be all over the biggest sporting event, the biggest event of the year. Carry on.
Right. No, but what I love about this on social media, I see so many Black people saying, "Okay, let me learn my Spanish." so that I can sing along too. And then I see other stuff like, I hope that the accent is so thick, and I hope that he doesn't sing a song in English. I mean, I'm loving what's happening because Puerto Rico is a state, a member of the United States. So, you know, when Donald Trump and them talk about white, I mean, come on, we are a diverse group of people in this country. And with, and with all that being said, just know that there are over 2,000 seats on the ballot this month alone. In October, over 2,000 seats are on the ballot. So check your state and local Secretary of State's websites to find out when and where you need to vote, because that is how we begin to change this. Is we start flipping seats. Go ahead.
Miss Lavender says maggots are losing their pea brain minds over Bad Bunny.
Right. Right. And last but not least, let's head to some HBCU headlines. Florida A&M band announcer Joe Bullard has backpedaled and apologized for his offensive remarks made during a game over the weekend. Now, FAMU was playing Alabama State University, and he referred to the Honeybees, which is their Orchesis dance group, as the new face of Ozempic. Yep, he said it. Now, the commentary brought oohs and ahs and started going viral on social media. So he has since apologized and says he admits that his comments were hurtful and disrespectful. So was it a joke? Was it okay or was it not okay, Stacey?
Listen, you shouldn't fat shame anybody. Right.
Can we say fat? Can we still say fat?
Well, I'm just saying that's what they call it, right? Don't they call it fat shaming?
Well, turn
that makes me right. That makes me say yeah. That means I'm saying fat, right?
Like, what are we saying? Dr. Joni, chime in.
Yeah, he said expat said yes. My sister is fat.
Oh,
listen, y'all not getting me in trouble here. Shoot. All I know is that that's what the term is, fat shaming.
Dr. Marilyn said that's wrong.
Oh, okay, it's wrong. Look, come on now, Dr. Marilyn, help me out then, shoot.
No, I think she's referring to what the announcer Bullard said about the new face of Ozempic.
There's your boy, Mike V. Mike V. never misses, does he?
He said thick thighs matter.
Oh God. Oh boy, I tell you.
So he's apologized,
She's Greer said he liked meat on the bones. My brother never liked a skinny woman. Oh my gosh. I had like maybe 2 stalkers in my lifetime. One was a very skinny woman. And she literally stalked me, and I was like, wait a minute, this is wrong. This is crazy.
Oh, you said 2. I thought you were gonna say you had 1 skinny and 1 thick, but you just
no. Just I mean, somebody else was an online stalker. The other one was in real life.
And to me, these girls look voluptuous. They don't really look fat to me. They're curvy. They're big. They're curvy girls. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to have some meat on your bones. They don't look fat to me. Well, obese to me.
See, there's that word.
And that's the thing. Like all of these, like what was okay to say yesterday is offensive today. And the thing is, nobody means any harm.
Dr. Marilyn says BBW is the term, I think.
BBW. What does that mean, Dr. Marilyn?
I assume it means big black woman.
don't think so.
Wait a minute. Dr. Marilyn, am I wrong? Dr. Marilyn, tell me. I think that's what she means. Yep, see? Expat
No, Dr. Marilyn, please confirm that's what that means.
And Stephanie Humphrey said, those ladies are beautiful.
I say that too. Yeah, they don't look. Oh, Dr. Marilyn, what does it mean?
Big, beautiful women.
Oh, that was funny.
I'm sorry. I thought it meant big black women.
Look, no, those are your headlines for today.
Oh, okay. Even RNG could have said something along before I got in trouble. RNG
Oh my God, that was so funny. I got tears in my eyes. Because you said it so like affirmingly, like what it mean?
Listen, I don't know this stuff.
Ooh, that was hilarious.
I don't know this stuff. I don't know
that's
about
a
this.
great way to start. My day is gonna be happy.
Oh my. Yes, ma'am, I am. I guess she's shaking her head at me. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that was so. Look, I'm crying. That was hilarious.
Our black facts for today, folks. On this date in 1967, history was made. Thurgood Marshall was sworn in as the first Black U.S. Supreme Court Justice. And there's only been one more since, and that's Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Oh, nice. Okay, yes. I mean, we're talking about the Supreme Court. Let me gather myself together and get to my black fact. So today, my black fact is Hattie McDaniels. Remember her? The first African American to win an Academy Award for her role as Mamie in the 1939 film Gone with the Wind. She died today in 1952. But the reason why I picked her, Stacey, is because her burial was very interesting because her final wish was to be buried at the then segregated Hollywood Cemetery, right? It's now called Hollywood Forever. And the cemetery's owner denied her request because of a white-owned burial policy. And as a result, she was interred at Angeles Rosedale Cemetery here in Los Angeles. But decades later in 1999, the new owners apologized for the past discrimination, and they offered her family to re-enter her remains at the cemetery, but her family declined. And so the Hollywood Cemetery instead built a memorial in her honor.
You know, hate is always going to hate. When Hattie McDaniel won her Oscar, she was getting a lot of hate from within her own community. And because she won the Oscar as the maid and was Gone with the Wind. And she said, she'd rather be acting as a maid than actually, and making that type of money than being a maid and a regular maid and making no money. She recognized how fortunate she was, but she also had to deal with, the hate from within too. And Rashonda Tate, her book, The Queen of Sugar Hill, y'all gotta check it out. It is a great book, and Hattie McDaniel. It's about Hattie McDaniel, so check her out.
Yeah, her story is so rich and fascinating, and it was like, I agree with it. Like, I'd rather play a maid than really be a maid. And did she play an Imitation to Life too, or was that somebody else?
I'm not sure.
But when you go back and look at Gone with the Wind now, for me, I don't see it with the same eyes that I saw it when I was a little girl.
Oh, of course not. Oh God. Dr. Marilyn says you guys need to read Queen of Sugar Hill. It's a great book. Yes, and we are proud to say we've had Rashonda on a few times. In fact, Rashonda is a member of the Black Press of America and out in Houston at the Defender Network. And Rashonda now has written like 60 books. She is definitely one of ours, and she's not a pretend. Rashonda is the real deal. We love Rashonda on our show, and she's been on our show quite a few times, and including
Nice.
with that book. So yes.
Nice. And Stephanie Humphrey channel says, I think it was Lady Hattie in Waiting to Exhale, in Imitation to Life.
Waiting to exhale, huh?
No, it said wait one, but I don't know what that said.
But you would love. Greer mentions you, Neil, would love that book, Queen of Sugar Hill.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and during that, because during that time there were limited roles for Black people to play.
Very limited.
So, yeah, it should be a good deep dive. PH Expat says, as a kid, it was just the songs that I remember from Gone with the Wind.
Oh, okay. But you're right. You're so right about that. When you look at stuff later, ooh, your take can be very different.
Right. And even with Imitation of Life, the way that girl treated our mother.
Yeah. Oh, Greer said that's not Hattie McDaniel in Imitation of Life.
That's not her.
No, it's not her.
Okay.
Well, who is she?
Who is she? Who is that maid?
Who's that maid? But you're right. The roles were so limited, and you remember a lot of actors, white actors, played Black characters in blackface.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was historic.
Juanita Moore.
Juanita Moore is Imitation of Life. Okay. See, look how we're remembering our Black actresses. But yeah, to Hattie McDaniel's point, thank God it wasn't that would be even more disrespectful to get a white woman and paint her face Black to be a maid. Just get the Black woman.
Yeah. Well, they
so
did
we
a lot
remember
of
her
that.
today.
Absolutely. They are voluptuous, Nancy Wall says. Voluptuous. All right, so next time put BVW, okay? Big voluptuous woman or something like that. Black voluptuous. I don't know.
Or just VW, voluptuous woman. Just,
all right. There you go.
Let's take the big off.
Our Black-owned newspaper of the day, folks. It's one paper that's near and dear for me. The Westchester County Press is our Black-owned newspaper of the day. Over the last 9 decades or so, the Westchester County Press's mission has been to serve the African American community by bringing you positive news about your neighbors and government leaders. They continue to welcome legal notices, ads, articles, columns, and events to the calendar, or to the community calendar, which connects us all. And the Westchester County Press, I used to work up in Westchester County, New York, and I used to work for, back then I was working for Gannett, and I used to always drop in at the Westchester County Press, and it was like a very small operation, but it was always exciting to see the coverage that they did on the city of Mount Vernon, New York, New Rochelle, and all of the surrounding towns and villages. They always did a great job. So check them out, folks. The Westchester County Press, our Black-owned newspaper of the day.
And in the words of Patricia Jackson and the Stephanie Humphrey channel, hit the like button before you leave. Hit the likes, hit the likes, hit the like. Tell somebody to subscribe to Black Press USA. Let it be known. And for the latest in Black news, to keep up with the shutdown, to keep up with HBCU news, and all in between from coast to coast, visit blackpressusa.com.
And listen, real quick, Miss Lavender says Louise Beavers played the mother in the 1934 original version of Imitation of Life. Look at that history. I love it. I love it. And Dr. Marilyn has banned me from ever saying anything about BBWs again. So that's the end of that.
Put a stamp on it.
That's it. Folks, check us out again tomorrow. I guess tomorrow we can see what happens with Diddy, and we can also kind of dive into this whole Nicki Minaj and Cardi B situation. So
and we're gonna add the WNBA because there's a lot of chatter going on over there.
Oh yeah,
we'll
you
talk
talk
about
about
that tomorrow too.
Join us tomorrow. We're gonna have some fun. We'll see you then.